awesome. You fall on your spirituality for fighting.
Yeah.
So I know Ramadan's still
Ramadan,
in
yeah.
action. How does that affect your camp? I know your meals have.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
they be affected by
So,
that, or do you take a
yeah,
break from it? Or?
Yeah, so in the beginning of camp, I was fasting from sun up to sundown, and training. So I would do like my strength and conditioning in the daytime and do my boxing workouts at nighttime. But it was just so hard to cram because I'm training 2 to 3 times a day, and I want to train at the the highest I can, the hardest I can. I want to train harder than I did last camp and the camp before. So I want to push myself to the limit, but it's hard to do that with no fuel.
Yeah.
So as a Muslim, I'm supposed to fast, but I get a pass from Allah understands that this is for my job, this is how I feed my family, this is how I eat, how I'm able to provide. So I'm able to make up after Ramadan, or instead you're supposed to give back.
Okay.
You're supposed to feed people and the unfortunate and stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing, giving back as much as possible, and still praying and saying on my prayers and stuff like that.
And you still did some of the fasting, right? So you
yes.
did the most that you could,
Yeah.
and I think that like shows
100%.
much more.
As an athlete, what are you praying for?
Oh man, I pray for everything.
I'd love to get into that with you because I
That's a
feel
good
like
question,
a lot
yeah.
of people they want to get into praying,
Yeah.
and I feel like their conversations with God nowadays is like, oh God, I want my job to be better, but I feel like as an athlete and as somebody in my field, I think being elaborate and very exact with your requests could be fruitful. For example, if you want to be stronger, it's like, God, give me, not instead of like give me the strength, it's like give me the ability to figure out how to push my body to get stronger. Yeah. And I have really deep conversations with God.
I like that. That's fire. With praying, there is no cap on what you can ask God for. You could tell God, I want $1 billion. God, can you please give me $1 billion? Or I want 1 billion cars. I want 1 billion this. I want my whole family to never catch COVID ever again in life. There's nothing that there's no cap on what you can ask God for. So I'm always mindful of that. So whatever I feel at that moment, I ask God. I ask God, can you give me this? Can you give me that? Can you give me health? Can you make sure my family are in great spirits? Can you make sure I'm in great spirits? Can you keep me at peace during training camp? Just many different things. Whatever I'm feeling at that time, I ask God for, and God definitely gives it to me every time. And it's crazy to see how I'll ask God for something today, and by the end of the day, I'll have it. It's unbelievable.
It's a beautiful thing having a relationship with God.
Yes, for sure.
I have this new thing that I do, and I'd love to share it with you because maybe it's something you would love to like practice. But I'm a Christian, so when I'm reading the Bible, sometimes it gets a little frustrating because you don't understand it too much, or like you have a lot of emotions going into it, and then like as you know, when you talk to God, your emotions going into it versus getting out of it's different. That's a spiritual thing that a lot of people don't understand until they have that relationship. Yeah. Well, I started journaling, and it was called My Conversations with God. So what I do is if I have a dilemma, a situation, a hurdle, a path that has temptations or sin or anything, right? I'll write it down before I talk to God. And I go, these are what I want to discuss with God. And I'll just write down my feelings. Just very vulnerable. Yeah. And then I'll read and I'll study and I'll bless myself with the presence of God. And then afterwards, I'll journal it again. And I won't even read it until like the next day or the next day after that. And then you'll see the actual evidence of it. And it's crazy because sometimes we could sit here and bang our heads against the wall trying to convince people this relationship you have with the God. Yeah. But once you see it on paper, it starts becoming more in your heart, and it just starts getting way more fruitful. So I don't know if that's something you would ever want to do, but in your fight camp, if you want to do that, it brought out a lot of.
I definitely want to look into that. I seen you on a show, and you were talking about God, and it really touched me. I seen it popped up on my TikTok one day. It was like, I love that.
I appreciate it, man. Sure. I love faith conversations, and I feel like we're getting to a place in this country. Not this country, in this world where we're very closed off to like everybody else. Yeah. And I just think the most beautiful part
was
about
it something that you said
like,
that you saw God, like it was something, it was like viral thing if you talking about God.
I talk about God a lot. I'm
but it
like
was like
super obsessed with
but it was like something. It was like crazy touching.
What was I wearing? Was I wearing a white hoodie?
I can't tell you what you were wearing. But it was like I don't know. There was one. I think is it the one where I was like, I don't walk
I asked God, if it takes me 1 inch away from you, put it miles away from me. It was like a prayer I said. Was it that one?
I don't know. I gotta show you after the show.
We'll connect.
Okay.
I would love to talk to you
Yeah,
behind
for
the
sure.
scenes about some stuff.
Yeah,
Because this is like a layer. We can't go too deep into
Yeah, for sure.
I opened up my journal like, anyway.
Yeah,
So I was like,
This is how I felt.
my girlfriend's really pissing me off right now, God. It's like,
Yeah, for sure.
It's just
she's
this whole
amazing.
journal.
Nah, this and I'm not just saying this to be cheesy because she's my girlfriend. The reason why I picked her as my girlfriend is because she made me a spiritually like better man.
Yeah.
When a girl, I tell this to all my friends that are like chasing women. I go, there's 2 types of women at the end of the day: the one that brings you up, and the one that brings you down.
Yeah, that's crazy that you say that because the girl I'm dealing with now, she's Muslim. She's Muslim as well, and I feel like she brought me closer to God.
Right.
You know, when you're dealing with someone, when you're Muslim and you're dealing with somebody that's not Muslim, like, you know, it's haram. Like, you know, when you have sex, when you do those type of things, when you're kissing, when you're doing anything like that, it's haram. But when you do it with somebody that is with the same faith as you, and, you know, practicing the same things as you, it's halal. You know, you receive blessings from God when you do those things. So I definitely feel like, you know, I agree with what you're saying, and she brought me closer to
That's amazing.
I know that feeling you're talking about, and not to be too, and we could cut this out if like it's too opening and vulnerable, because it does involve you as well. So like, I want to be fair to your feelings. So we could cut this out if we don't want to put it in. But sexuality in this industry is at its all-time high. You know what I mean? Like, sex sells.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point where when I met Belle, I actually took 6 months to 7 months, no masturbating, no sex.
Yeah.
No porn, no nothing.
Yeah.
Because I had a conversation with a guy and he opened up my eyes. He looked at me, he goes, "You're Christian, yeah?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, you bumming with these hoes all over town." And I go, "Well, yeah, you know, I'm just waiting for the right chick."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I don't get that." And I go, "What do you mean you don't get that?" I go, "Let me explain it to you. I'm going to run through the city until I find one girl that God's like, this is the one. And I'm going to be like, all right, God. And then like, it's over.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "That God's your father, yeah?" And he goes, I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Is technically her father too?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "So why would a father give his daughter to a piece of shit like you?" And I was just like,
Yeah, you ain't
whoa.
get me.
And I was like, what the fuck, bro? I'm not a piece of shit. I take these girls on dinners and I pay for it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
nice. And I open
I'm
the
a
door. I'm a
gentleman,
gentleman.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
until the bedroom door's locked, then I'm an
Yeah,
asshole.
yeah,
But like I'm a gentleman throughout that. And he goes, "Yeah, but that doesn't matter." He goes, "The quality is the same quality." And he goes, "He's not going to give you the quality that you're looking for because you're not acting as it." And so I took the break. And then through that break, I met her. And it was the dream girl, the girl that I couldn't even imagine having. So I think a lot of relationship with God that people miss is the obedience and the discipline that comes behind it.
100%.
And like, if me and you are in a relationship, we can't be like, I tell people this, like I hammer down on the OnlyFans girls and they were like, "Oh, you're sexist." And it's like, absolutely not. I love you more than these guys that are pushing OnlyFans on you.
Yeah, hey, I see what you're saying.
You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for sure,
And on
for
top
sure.
of that, I tell men, like, yo, don't buy OnlyFans. Don't watch porn because you're training your mind. Think about this. I'm just going to just real quick go by. You open up the browser, a normal guy's going to go through like 9 videos, go through different looking chicks, different positions. You're training your brain to be actively in this, you know, action. So how could you be monogamous with one woman if you keep training your brain to actively be picking on other women?
100%, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like, truthfully, I don't watch porn because of those reasons. Like,
Yo, me and you are on the
for
same
sure.
boat. We both
Yeah.
like good
Yeah,
looking.
yeah.
We're
That's
fighters. You know, like, why'd you laugh so hard on that one, bro? Yeah, I'm a fighter, dude. I fight to stay alive all the time in this
Nah, for
industry.
sure. Nah, you fight every day. You fight every day, for sure.